Hi, this unit is Use Basic Logic in Checkbox Formulas. It is the first unit on the Advanced Formulas module. Just saying that terrifies me. Basic formulas freak me out. And it is the first module part of the Admin Advanced. I'm really scared. Trail. So here I am, just facing my fear, literally. Okay. My name is Jeff Alhadeff, and I'm working through the admin trail to hopefully become a Salesforce certified admin. Mostly just because I'm interested in it. I mean, we always are telling people all the time that anybody could do this, and I'm like, well, really? I'm anybody. Maybe I can. So. And I do work at Salesforce, and I figure like I should know this stuff at least. But this is literally on my personal time. The little disclaimer: my views do not reflect those of my employer. Totally applies here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to learn through here. If I come across something that seems tricky, I'll link to it in the description below. Otherwise, you're welcome to join me as I go through this. And what else may you want to know? I don't edit anything, because if I were to start editing, I'd spend all my day editing videos, because that just is like such a rabbit hole for me. But learning is not, so I do that. And my goal is to learn and not to create great videos, which is why you're getting this. Anyhow, off we go. After completing this unit, you'll be able to describe what the checkbox formula return type is. Sweaty palms. Comfortably. Okay. Comfortably use the if, and, not, or functions. Okay. I've done enough spreadsheets that these don't totally freak me out. I just don't think comfortable would ever be an adjective that I would use with formula, like anywhere within shooting distance of each other. And create a formula using the checkbox type. Okay. Introduction to formula fields. Okay. Formulas are a powerful tool that let you perform calculations and other operations on your organization's data. Using formulas, you can embed hyperlinks, perform arithmetic with existing fields, or use conditional logic to display an amount. And if you get terrified, you can go read Robert Frost, which you probably feel much more comfortable with. Okay, if you've never used formulas before, get started using the formulas fields before moving on to this unit. I think I did do this. Right? Yeah, I did that. Okay. I sort of wish in here, I understand like formulas is like a specific thing within Salesforce. I sort of wish that there was something here that said, you probably remember formulas from like math formulas. That's probably what you think of when you think of formulas. Like homework assignments. 1 through 20, do all the evens, that type of a thing. But that's just where my head goes to. Like, okay, so that's why I think of formulas. But here, formulas, these are Salesforce formulas. Okay. Introduction to the checkbox type in formulas. When it comes to check boxes, you only have two options: selected or not selected. What does this mean for your formula? Well, a checkbox formula is just a logical statement that is either true or false. If you want to know right away if an account has at least 500 employees in it, for example, you could use a simple checkbox formula. Number of employees. There's no spaces, so you have to read it that way. Number of employees is greater than or equal to 500. Okay. You don't have to read it that way. You could read it number of employees. I'm just joking. It might not have been funny though. Usually it's not. But I don't really think anybody ever watches these, so I'm just doing this for me because it helps me focus. Whatever. If an account has more than or equal to 500 employees, the checkbox large account is checked on that account's page. Otherwise, large account is not checked. Okay. Most of the time, the logical statements in your formula are a lot more complicated than that. Yeah. To take full advantage of the checkbox formula data type, you need some basic logical tools. Logical functions, deep breathing, are rigid adaptations of words. Oh god, that's okay. Logical, I'm seriously freaking out. Logical functions are more rigid adaptations of words that you already use in almost every conversation, and, or, not, and if. For example, that an apple is a red fruit, while a banana is a yellow fruit. If you're looking, I was wondering if and, not, and if was in that statement right here. That's what I was blankly staring at the screen. I'm like, wait, did I miss it already? Such an idiot. If you're looking in the grocery store for something that's red and a fruit, you're going to grab an apple. If you're looking for something that's red or a fruit, however, you'll be fine either with an apple or a banana. I know this. I know this is the Boolean or. It's a search operator. You could use it. It's just like, it's logic. My brain doesn't think that way. I'm like, you're looking for something that's red or a fruit. My head went to fruit leather. Like, what? You'd be fine with an apple or a banana. Because it's one, you're happy with this or with that. Doesn't matter. Either one would satisfy the statement. You can use the same kind of logic and formulas with not, and, or, and if functions. And the built-in and function takes at least two arguments. It returns true if and only if both arguments are true. It is easy to visualize this logic if we look at it in a table. Okay, here's what I'm realizing. So, like, the words not, and, or, and if have a meaning in English that we're used to, right? You use the word and to, in a series of a three-part phrase, like you toss an and before the last word, right? Not means, no, I'm not hungry, it's okay, I don't want to eat. Or means like, I could do this or I could do that. I could go either way. If represents a possibility. But these are functions that we're learning about, and so you have to disassociate the function from the meaning of the word. In a certain way, like we could call it the X formula or the Y formula or the Z formula or whatever. It's just that. It does, and we're using a word for it, but I'm sorry, I should have said function. This function, that function. It could be the Splubel function or the Badaba function, and like, okay, that's just what this function does. And why is it named that? Okay, fine. Just we had to pick a name so we could call it something because we're humans and we produce sounds with our mouth and grunt in weird ways that other people understand, and that means something to people because that's what the mystery of language. But these are just functions, and you use them in formulas. So that's my insight. which wasn't very helpful. Okay, the built-in AND function takes at least 2 arguments. It returns true if and only if both arguments are true. It is easy to visualize this logic if we look at the table. Okay, takes 2 arguments. Okay, again, another argument is another one of those words that in a certain way is disassociated from its normal meaning in regular English. Right? Argument means not a debate, but a statement. Which might be true or false. So AND takes 2. So we have, what am I looking at here? First argument equals true, first argument. Okay, so we're looking at second. Okay, so if the first argument is true and the second argument is true, then it's true. If the first argument is false and the second argument is true, then we get false. And then if the second's false, then it resolves to false. And if the second's false, it's still resolved. As long as, okay, in other words, so the AND function, in other words, the AND function is only true if both arguments are true. Why did I say if and only if? That threw me for a loop a little bit. But basically, the AND function returns true if both arguments are true. Okay, I think if and only if is maybe something that we'll learn about later, but and I would have loved it if they bolded this or did something with the font here to make it stand out a little bit more for me. Okay, for instance, you say you want your users to look at a contact and know right away whether it's okay to contact them via email or phone. If the contact in question has marked do not call and email opt-out, we want to select another checkbox, do not contact. Because we want this checkbox to be checked only if the contact selected do not call or email opt-out, we use the AND function. Oh God. If the contact in question has marked do not call and email opt-out, so then we can't call them and we can't email them, we want to select another checkbox. Why was there another checkbox? Where did that come from? Do not contact. Okay. So for instance, say you want your users to look at a contact right away and know whether it's okay to contact them. If the contact has do not call and do not okay. I think what we're supposed to be adding in here is, and you're considering creating a do not call, and you're considering creating a do not contact checkbox. You'd like to create a do not contact checkbox. Then, if the contact in question has do not call and email opt-out, we will select a new checkbox that we're going to create called do not contact. Because we want this checkbox to be checked, all right, so there's 3 checkboxes already there. Somehow they got there. We're not creating them? I don't know, whatever. There's 3 checkboxes. How they got there? Who knows? Does it matter? Probably not. Somehow or another they get filled in, and then they get do not contact if the other 2 are filled in. So that way they don't have to look at, as a user, you don't then have to look at 2 places, you just look at 1. Sorry I'm rambling so much. Told you I would. Because we want this checkbox to be checked only if the contact selected do not call and do email email opt out. We use the AND function. Create a checkbox formula the same way that you would create any other formula field in Salesforce. Okay, that's not that. Yeah, I know there's a different way of getting to your sandbox. I could just go down here and click launch. But I never do that. So I don't. I just bookmark everything. Or some of the Battle Station app. Good times. Setup. From setup, enter contacts. And the quick find box and select contacts. Contacts? Hello? We're in setup. Enter contacts in the quick find box and select contacts fields. I know how to do this. What's going on? Why do I not see contacts? Social accounts and contact settings? No. This is the campaign object. We're looking at contacts in here. That's not right. Contacts. Come on. This is straightforward. Computer. Is it because I'm in the Battle Station app? Setup, I mean, that shouldn't make a difference, right? This is on the contact object. This is really weird. Why? Scroll and select new. Okay, fine. We're going to move along. I'm just going to... So for some utterly perplexing reason, I was unable to find contacts by going to setup. So, like, I'll show you again, just in case you weren't watching this whole time, which I totally don't blame you for. Contacts, quick find. We should see contacts fields, right? I just see sales, social accounts, and contacts. But I'm like, Contacts, well, that's an object. I know where those are. So then just click through here, go to the contact object, and then field and relationships. And here I am, right here. So moving along, click new, yeah, select formula and click next. Click select formula, don't panic, breathe deep, life is going to be fine, the sun will rise tomorrow. In the field label, enter do not contact. Jump over the hurdle that says close window now. You will not get this. In the field label, enter do not contact. Field name populates automatically. It's not really automatic. Nothing in life is automatic. Select checkbox and click next. Okay. Copy the following code snippet and paste it into the formula. Oh, copying and pasting. I could do that. Okay, but I got to read it. Add and do not call has opted out of email. Okay, so these are two arguments. Are these two not arguments? This doesn't look like arguments. Oh, so this is saying if it has, argument 1 is it should have do not call on the contact object. And argument 2 is has opted out of email. Oh, see, in my head, I was thinking it didn't look like an argument because I'm used to seeing these formulas in Excel where it would be like, you know, D3 equals do not call and E3 has opted out of email, but we're not in a spreadsheet universe. We're in a object-oriented database, which really needs some rebranding because it's just a terrible way to call it because it makes no sense to the rest of us, but whatever, it's not happening. So add do not call and has opted out of email. This is how it will look in the formula editor once you're done. And check the syntax. The syntax errors in merge, no syntax errors. And merge fields are functions. Okay. A quick note. The formula samples we're giving you throughout this module range from relatively simple to very complex. To make it easier for you, we'll be giving you all the formula samples as snippets rather than as screenshots of how they'll look in the formula editor. This will allow you to copy and paste the snippet right into the formula editor, to copy the snippet, just hover the snippet until 3 icons appear in the right corner, then use the copy to clipboard icon to copy the snippet. Copy. Just to copy the snippet, just hover to the snippet until 3 icons appear in the upper right corner. I see copy. I don't know what these 3 icons are. Until 3 icons appear in the upper right corner. Which upper right corner? I'm so lost and confused. This makes no sense to me. If what you mean to say is copy the snippet, just hover over the snippet. Just click the copy button at the top of the snippet. Okay, so on this, I think the snippet thing, maybe the functionality has changed since this came out, but I'm not seeing any copy to clipboard. I'm just seeing the copy button, so that's cool. So you don't actually have to like copy and paste it and just click copy. But if you were confused as to what these 3 icons that are appearing, that I don't know where they are, because they're just, and I don't see copy to clipboard. I see copy. I don't see an icon. I see text. So maybe things have changed since this was written. As always, make sure you're using the advanced formula editor to enter your formula. You can access the advanced formula editor by selecting the advanced formula tab from the formula editor. There's the simple formula. There's the advanced formula. Fine. The advanced formula editor gives you easy access to a wide range of functions and operators that you'll need throughout this module. Note, keep in mind that you can create a formula field as a custom field, but you could create a formula field as a custom field, but you can also create a formula field as a validation rule. Oh, the sound of one hand clapping. You can also create a formula field as a validation rule. Okay. Okay, a validation rule lets you prevent users from saving records with invalid data according to your formula. Validation rules can be an effective way to enforce data quality. But with great power comes great responsibility. The last thing you want is unhappy users who can't save records. So use your power wisely. Learn more about validation rules here. Okay, that was cool. Using this formula, if someone has selected do not call, I was holding this cup like I was advertising Starbucks. I'm not advertising Starbucks. Using this formula, if someone has selected do not call and email output, why do I keep on saying, have I been saying output the whole time? If using this formula, if someone has selected do not call and email opt-out, just read output, and email opt-out, the contact card displays another selected checkbox, do not contact. If the person selected only one of the two, do not contact box is not checked. Note there's more than one way to write the AND function. You can write the AND function. You can write as a function with AND brackets or as an operator by linking the two statements with two parentheses. In this case, AND do not call and has opted out of email is equivalent to do not call and has opted out of email. Make sure to not mix up and, which replaces and with and ampersand thingy, which concatenates two text strings. Text strings are the things that the cats play with when they play with yarn and it spreads all over the floor and spells out something. That's a text string. These developers, why do we call things strings? They're not, it's just words. But it's a string of text because it's a bunch of words after each other, but it's not really strings. Don't be fooled. Okay. That would be silly. If you want to check more than just two conditions, don't worry, the AND operator isn't limited to two. To display a contact with the do not contact box checked on the condition that the person has selected, do not call, email, opt-out, and fax opt-out is no problem for the AND operator. And do not call has opt-out of email, has opt-out of fax. Do people still have faxes? Using this formula, the do not contact checkbox is checked only if all three checkboxes, do not call, do not email, do not fax, are selected. Do you ever have if anyone or all three is not checked, do not contact appears unchecked on the contacts page. Okay, that was a lot for AND. Wait, do we do anything with this? This is a new field. So we have the do not call field. Oh, that's what we were saying at the beginning. There's these fields. The do not call. Okay, so remember when I was confused at the beginning here when we said, for instance, say you want users to look at a contact and know right away whether it's okay to contact them via email or phone. If the contact in question has marked do not call and email opt-out, we want to select another checkbox do not contact. Okay, I was like, I don't know where these things are or where they came from. Okay, this is the problem of just going through the trails and not actually using the app as like working as a Salesforce admin, and playing with it and seeing it on an ongoing basis, because I have a day job which I really, 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 really like. But the problem is that I didn't realize do not call and email opt out are fields on the contact object. So basically what this is saying is we already have two fields on the contact object, do not call and email opt-out. We also have another one called fax opt-out, which hard to imagine that anybody has that, but that's a different story. And we now want to create a custom field that will automatically update if a contact has do not call and email opt-out are both selected as true. So that was what we just did. Really, just before this little pontification that I'm doing right now. And we created that. So now theoretically, I should be able to go let me find a contact. Who do I want to pick on? Avi. Mashamcha Avi. Let's do this. Details. Mr. Avi Green. Okay, so do not contact is right there. Aha, I'm willing to bet that the fields where the fields are they added? Are they on like the right page layout? I do not call. This is a checkbox. Does this guy show up someplace? I don't remember. I see do not contact, but I can't edit that. So how does the do not call field get updated? Does Avi, in this case, have to be the guy who clicks on it? Someplace else? See, for many of, okay, these are all the different, these are all read-only or hidden. Sales, systems admin, read-only. So since, okay, so it looks like the do not contact field, and maybe also the, oh, I could go this way. Do not call. Yeah, it's hidden in all of them. I was looking at the wrong one earlier. Okay, so do not call and email opt-out are hidden for all of these. But if I wanted to change it, I could change it here. By creating a different page layout for the system administrator profile. Because right now we're working on the contact layout, page layout. Oh, this gets confusing. Okay. My guess is that they get updated based off of users. Like in this case, brought back to Avi Green, he would probably have to, say maybe on his side, in his marketing systems, when we market to him, when the company using Salesforce would market to Avi Green, Avi would select do not call and email opt-out, and then that would populate this field here, do not contact. Excuse me. Okay, that was the AND function. That's ridiculous. What time is it? All right, we're going to move a little faster now. The OR function is similar to the AND function. It also takes at least 2 arguments, but like AND, OR returns true if at least one of the conditions is true and only returns false if all arguments are false. Isn't that stating it twice? At least conditions is true, it returns false if at least one. I mean, it returns true if at least one of the conditions is true. The flip side of that is it returns false if all arguments are false. Okay, fine. Here's the table. Cool. I like, sort of like the table here. I might like a recap and put the tables side to side, like we're on top of each other, so you can compare them a little bit easier. Okay, let's look at another example with the contact object. Did we say contact object earlier? I'm just curious if I missed it. No, we didn't. Okay, yes, this is the first time. Say that you want to display a checkbox that's selected if a contact is at the executive level of an organization. We know someone's at the executive level if their title begins with chief, such as chief executive officer, chief operating officer, chief equality officer, or includes the word president, such as president, vice president, etc. Notice how we're already using the word or to describe the problem. This is a good clue that you need the or operator in the formula. To make this formula work, we're going to use a couple of text functions that you can learn more about in using text formulas. Where do I do that? Using text formulas? Is this supposed to be hyperlinked? Is it in the resources section? Maybe. Where did I go? Here we are. Okay. Begins, text compare text, tells you if a string text begins with another string compare text. Contains, text compare text, tells you if a string text contains another string compare text anywhere inside it. Create a formula with a checkbox, and the name is executive. Create a formula field with the type checkbox, and the name is executive. Enter in the following formula. Okay, I can do this. Is executive, so we're going to go back to contact object. We're going to cancel this out. Fields and relationships. New checkbox. Next is executive. Next. I want to be gender neutral here. Don't actually do this in real life. Don't do this, dude. I would say dudette, but is dude specifically for men only? Dudette sounds diminutive. Just, I think dude is gender agnostic. Okay. Yeah, create a formula with the type, okay, or begins, title, chief, contains, title president. Okay. Create a formula field with a checkbox type. Oh, gosh. Okay, when it says create a formula field with a checkbox, with a type checkbox, don't click checkbox. Click formula. That messed me up. Okay. Onward. Field is executive. Now the formula return type is checkbox. Click next. Okay. Now we got the editor. We click copy here, and we're going to type in or begins, so or, and then we have two things. If the title begins with chief, it's a little bit like Hebrew actually, where the noun and verb structure in Arabic also is just a little bit different. I think Spanish also has that, where the structure is a little different. It's like you have to put the third word second. If so, or the title begins with chief, or the title contains president. Got that? Yeah. You can write begins, title chief, contains title president, or, like and, can take more than 2 arguments. To also check if a context title contains the word executive, try this. Okay. And so again, but don't we need to start off with or? We don't have an operator here, though. I have a problem. Why don't we have to put or in here? Right. I think you would need to add an or, right? I think you'd have to do that. Okay, so in this example here, where it says you can try doing it this way. Begins, contains, contains. I think you need to add or here. Otherwise, there's no logical statement happening. Or maybe it just, if you have these 3, oh, that could be it. Maybe you don't need it. Just if you put them on separate lines, that counts as like run this, run this, run this. Maybe that counts as the or, just by structuring them that way. Seems to work either way. Okay. That was funny. Nerd humor. The not function does exactly what you'd expect. It changes anything that's true to false. Anything that's false to true. I wouldn't have expected that. I don't know what I would have expected. It was just, what I expected was blank. It's just empty. I don't know. Say that you want to display a checkbox on a contacts page that indicates if the contact card is lacking essential information. For this example, we consider contact complete if it includes a first name, last name, phone number, email address, and mailing address. The formula values to true only if none of those fields are blank. To check if the contact has information that we're looking for, use the isBlank function. IsBlank takes a field as an argument and returns true if it's blank and false if it's field. See, here, we did that. I'm back on this thing. I think you have to have or in there. Maybe not. Okay, function, anything that's false to true, anything that's true to false. Like, that's funny, not. That means that that's not funny. We consider contact complete if it includes a first name, last name, phone number, email address, and mailing address. The formula is a true only if none of those fields are blank. Oh God, this hurts my brain. To check if the contact has information that we're looking for, use the isBlank function. IsBlank takes a field as an argument. We're going to take the field by argument and returns, that's like whatever. And it takes a field as an argument and returns true if it's blank and false if it's filled. Okay. Is this blank? Is first name blank? So if it's not, all right, I remember this. If it's not blank, then it has something in it. If the first name is not blank, it has something in it. If the last name is not blank, last name is not blank, so in order for the contact to be complete, the first name if it's not okay, so if it is not blank, that's good. We got information. If the last name is not blank, that's good, right? And so on. Because spaces and returns between functions and operators don't matter in formulas, the line breaks and spaces aren't necessary. However, using line breaks and spaces in your formula makes it easier to read. It also helps anyone else who has to understand and update the formula later. And there you have it. You can test out this formula by looking at a contact in your organization. If all the relevant contact information is complete, the contact is marked as complete, and the contact complete checkbox that you created is selected. If one or more of the fields we checked is blank, the checkbox is unchecked. So that was OR. So let's finish up with this one. Creating another one. What do we want to call this dude? It worked! So do not contact is executive. He's not an executive. And is complete. Let's change Avi, though, to an executive. First name. What did I do? No, okay, hold on a second. What was the logic behind is executive? Either way, begins, contains, title contains. Title. Not first name. Look at that. It had CFO. Oops. Boom. Okay. You can test the formula by looking at the contact in your organization if all the relevant contact information is complete. Okay. Note that not can also be written as a simple exclamation point. Using this notation, our formula would look a little different, but have the same effect. Okay. If. This is taking me forever. I'm going to pick up tomorrow. If, instead of stringing together logical operators, like and or, you could use if statements. If takes 3 arguments in the format if, test, result, alternate. In layman's terms, thank you, if test is true, evaluate result. If it's not, else. Else. Who says else? Nobody says else. Else, evaluate alternative. So, you're back at the grocery store, and once again, you're looking for a red fruit. You know how to write out this scenario with and or. But you can also think about it in terms of if statements. First, you pick up a piece of produce and check if it's a fruit. If it is, you check if it's red. Wouldn't you notice if it's red before you even check it? Like, you just see it from a distance. I think the first thing you know is, but whatever. If you wrote your produce picking formula with using if statements, your decision-making process would look like this. If mystery produce equals fruit, mystery produce color equals red. Okay, so if, test this. What does evaluate result here mean? Okay, if mystery produce fruit, mystery produce color equals red, then false. So you're back at the grocery store, and once again you're looking for red fruit. You know how to write out this scenario with and or, but you can also think about it in terms of if statements. First, you pick up a piece of produce and check if it's fruit. I'm not sure if I follow this guy. If mystery produce equals fruit, mystery produce color equals red, Okay. If mystery produce is fruit, then go on, and that's true, then check if it's red. And if that's true, what does false mean here? You're gonna, I don't know what false means. Else evaluate alternative, and so there's no alternative. Maybe that's what it means. Else evaluate nothing. We're just done. You could apply the same if-based logic in your formulas. For example, you want to know if a contact is a primary contact. We define a primary contact as someone who is an executive using the formula field is executive that we created before, and is in the marketing department. You already know how to do this with ands or ors. Is executive is the custom object, and department is marketing. So that both of those are together. Using an if statement, the formula like this. If is executive, that's true. Then let's check this out. Oh yeah, the department's marketing. Cool, that's true. There's nothing else to do here. We're done. Okay, you can test if again, the the way I sort of read this is like out of order. If the executive, if the person is an executive, and the marketing and the department is marketing. It's not really out of order. Okay, never mind, that made no sense. You can nest if statements. Nest. Okay, I know what nested statements are, but nests are for birds. Any argument with an if statement can be another logical statement, including another if statement. For example, we define a primary contact as someone who is an executive, and in addition to that, either in the marketing department in San Francisco or the sales department in New York. We're going to create a checkbox that is selected only if these conditions are met. We figure out which city the contact is based in by looking at the area code of the phone number, with 415 corresponding to San Francisco and 2 and 2 corresponding, 4 and 5 corresponding to San Francisco and 2 and 2 corresponding to New York, using answer ors. The formula looks like this. Okay. The department is marketing, and the person is an executive, and begins with phone, or, does this mean or? That could. Department of Sales, and is executive, and begins in 2 and 2. Oh. Did we define this as meaning or earlier? That's the first thing that came out. Just as thing you could write, or more than you can write. Oh, yeah, we did. And that's when I must have skipped over it. I didn't go through my brain the first time. But that's why you can write it like this. You don't have to say or. So this little thing means or. Okay. I don't know how I missed that. Where's if? You can apply the same, okay. Fine. Note, logical operators, just like mathematical operators, have an order of operation, and is always evaluated before or. You can also group logical operators in parentheses to have them evaluate in a particular order. Joy. We want a formula that is true if a contact meets all the requirements to be a primary contact. First, we want to check if the contact is an executive using is executive checkbox we created earlier. If the contact is an executive, we then check if the department is sales. If that's true too, then the last thing we want to check is the phone number's area code. On the other hand, if the contact is an executive but the department isn't sales, we check if it's marketing. If that's the case, we check the phone number of San Francisco area code. It's often easier to visualize if statements with a choice tree. Drawing one of them is a great first step when you're writing a formula that uses if. I like this idea quite a lot. The only problem with, this is a side point, but the only problem with using area codes is sometimes people have an area code on their cell phone and then they move. So that it's not really representative of where they're based. Each branch of the tree corresponds to a condition in an if statement of a formula. So if is the person's executive, if department is sales, it begins with 2 and 2. That's either true or false. If the department is sales, is not sales, but the department's marketing, okay. So we first look for sales, and if not, then we look for marketing, and then 4 and 5. In formulas like this one, it's especially important to include clear lines and spaces. Then whoever is reading your formula later knows how your if statements are nested. I would have loved a definition for nested statements. Nested if statements, a nested if statement is when you have multiple if statements, and they call it a nest because it's like when you have one thing inside of another thing, then that thing is resting in it. Birds in a nest, the little Russian dolls in each other, nested things inside of. So here you have two statements that are being included inside of this is executive statement. Okay. Checkbox formula examples. This This checkbox formula designates an opportunity as a small if the probability is less than 50% and the expected revenue is less than 100 and then 10,000. I'd love a dollar sign there because that's business, or I guess if we want to be, maybe it's euros or whatever. Okay, and probability is less than 50%, and expected revenue is less than 10,000. So we could create a checkbox, and so that would be on the opportunity object. So this is a formula field. It's going to be the checkbox type. Small potatoes. Oh, let's just small opportunity. Is that the word that we use? Yeah, small potatoes would be cute, but not really accurate. Okay, so here we're going to say and. Okay. It's on the system admin, page layout. Why can't I update the expected revenue? First off, let's see if there's a small opportunity tab. I wonder where expected revenue gets populated from. Products, roles, stage history, amount. Can I edit this? Oh, because it's changed close stage. So because it's I just want to test it. So, okay, so I need to go to opportunity. Let's try this. So the stage is in needs analysis, qualification. Alright, so here, expected revenue is 1,500. The probability is 10%. We should have, yeah, it's checked as a small opportunity. Okay, oof. Finally found that. This formula marks a case as a top priority if the priority is marked as high. The case isn't closed, and it's either escalated or has not been updated in more than a week. This formula performs differently based on where the parentheses are placed. Marks a case as a top priority. If the priority is marked as high, the case isn't closed, and it's either escalated or has not been updated in more than a week. This formula performs differently based on where the parentheses are placed. Okay, so we're going to be talking here. Let's go ahead and look at the service app. Look at cases. If the priority is marked as high, the case isn't closed and is either escalated or has not been updated in more than a week. So, is pick value priority high and not is closed, or it is escalated and days since last update is greater than 7. Okay, so here's the details. The page layout is a little different here. So let me make a new custom field. On the case object. Boy, it sounds so cool and nerdy. Yeah, let me create a new custom field on the case object. This is a formula field, and you want to use the checkbox. And we're going to call this top priority because I'm so creative. Don't go next. Okay, so this if the priority on the pick value is high and is not closed, if it's high and not closed, and should this be an OR? The formula marks the case's top priority. If the priority is marked as high, the case isn't closed and is either escalated or has not been updated in more than a week. This formula performs differently based on where the parentheses are placed. Is closed is not true. Priority pretty high. And oh. That's high and not closed. Oh, got it. If it's high, if it's not closed, and it's escalated or been 7 days. So, high, not closed, and then either escalated or been 7 days. One of these two. Oh. Field day since last update as a custom object doesn't exist. As a custom field. Was I supposed to create that earlier? Okay, so this, I didn't create something up here. Okay, that's just for, okay, so if you're looking, there is not a day since this last updated custom object. So if you're trying to test this out to see if it works, you'll find that it doesn't. On my Trailhead playground, I don't know, maybe there's new Trailhead playgrounds that are updated, or I don't know. Okay, this formula, for example, uses slightly different position parentheses to check if a case is high priority closed and escalated. or if it's been over 7 days since the case was last updated. Is pick value priority high? So if the pick value is high and it's not closed, and it is escalated, or it's been 7 days since last update. So use a slightly different position parenthesis to check if the case is high priority, closed, and escalated. Okay, so in this case, it needs to be a high priority, closed, and escalated. Or just been over 7 days. Whereas this case, we're looking to see it's got to be high and closed, and then escalated or 7 days. Well, if I was a customer, I would like this one better, because even if it was a low priority, that would mean that I would become a high priority. It would become a top priority if it's been 7 days. So as a customer, I might like that one more. Whatever. Well, it's just a business process thing, though. The formula displays a checkbox OK to call if that check is checked if it is OK to call a contact. The formula checks if the contact has selected do not call. If the contact hasn't, the formula ensures that the phone number field isn't blank. If do not call is not selected. If do not call is not selected, meaning you can call them. And if the phone number is not blank, and that's true. If you have both those things, then give a check. Awesome. If you don't, then just do nothing. Okay, let's try doing the challenge. Your number crushing sales team has so many deals in the pipeline, you're starting to see occasional problems with data quality. Namely, you just do without namely. Sales reps are forgetting to update the close date to a date in the future. Make a formula that requires an opportunity to have a close date of today or any future date. Okay, this formula should reference the hidden is closed checkbox, field and opportunity object, and you'll be creating the formula as an opportunity validation rule. Okay. The validation rule should be on the opportunity object. The validation rule should be named close date alert. The validation rule should fire if is closed is not selected and close date is yesterday or earlier. So both of those statements have to be true. The validation rule should display the error, hey McFly. That's funny. Unless you're planning to go back in time, please update your close date at the top of the page when triggered. For those of you who don't remember, Back to the Future, where there is McFly.
Drill.
Okay, we're getting off topic. I'm stalling. The validation rule should be the opportunity object. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Okay, so just try doing this. Close date alert, that's the rule name. The error message is, hey McFly, unless you're planning to go back in time, please update your close date. I'll put a period. Oh, was there supposed to be a period there? No, no period. Let's leave the period out. And here's what I did for the formula. The validation rule should fire if is closed is not selected as and close date is yesterday or earlier. So is closed is not selected, and the close date is yesterday or earlier. So as long as the close date is greater than today, I think that would do it. Back of my mind, it's telling me not. Close date would it be greater than or less than today? First off, the is closed, that's the field, that's just the closed field. That's the API name for is closed, for the closed field. So if you were looking in here for is closed, you're not going to find it because that's the API name. Close date. I'm confused if it should be greater than or less than today, honestly. If the close date I think it should be if the close date is less than today. About to find out. Wow, that was pretty cool. Thanks for watching.